Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate how to customize text wrap features if you're going to do a pull quote. So here's the document I've created. This is that same example spread that I uploaded to Canvas. I just added some a pull quote here that we can customize. Let me show you a couple little details that are present here that I don't think I customized properly in the original file, but I just want to point them out here because I think it's good practice for you all to follow. So I'm going to turn on my baseline grid here, and what you'll notice is that every line of my type here is hitting perfectly on my baseline grid. And the way that I made sure that that happened is my baseline grid is set to 12 points, which is actually the default in InDesign. You can always customize it to whatever number you want, but your default, as you can see here, is going to be an increment every 12 points. So you can always change that number. You can change where the baseline grid starts on your page. So under preferences, those are all the customization options. The key thing to always remember is you want to match the increment to whatever the leading is of your body copy. So 12 points is going to work pretty well here. That is, as I select this type, you can see when I go over to character that that's the same number I have for my body copy leading. So that's the first thing, is making sure those two numbers match. The next feature or detail is to click on this and go to, sorry, I know the keystroke, I don't know where this is located. Okay, under text frame options, under object, it's Command B is the keystroke. This will pull up text frame options. If you go to your baseline options and you set your first baseline to leading, that's the recommended setting that I would always use here. So if you set that to leading, I'll show you, I'm going to click on these other options. So if I click on Ascent, you can see that it makes the first line of my type closer to the top of my text frame. If I do it to cap height, it kind of perfectly aligns the top of my capital letters to that line. But for this, I can do X height, and you can see that it now aligns the type, the X height of the type. Leading is what I recommend. This is generally my go-to anytime I'm using body copy. The reason I like doing this is because my leading is set to 12. My first baseline is going to coordinate with my leading. And so what that means is I know that every time as long as I align the top of my text box to my baseline grid, then my type is always going to hit on that baseline perfectly. And that will help assure that even as I jump across other columns, that all of my type is hitting on the same baseline. So those things are perfectly lining up from column to column. So that's a nice little detail to make sure that you kind of get right on these. So those are the little things I'm going to be looking for in your final publication. So we'll want to make sure that we kind of pay attention to those details. All right, so as long as we have all of that set up, that kind of creates the groundwork for us to create a proper pull quote and to get that to all line up correctly. So what you'll notice here is that my pull quote, if I select that type, the point size is 30 and the leading is 36. So my leading at 36 points is a multiple of my baseline grid, so 12. So, and then I've set this text frame option also to where the first baseline is leading. So what that means is now each line of this type is also hitting on my baseline. It's not necessary, you don't have to do it, but I do think it's a nice little detail. It makes everything feel a little more carefully crafted and makes the type of your pull quote line up really nicely with the type of your body copy. So as long as that is all happening here, I can now click on this, and what I'm trying to create is I want my body copy to wrap around this text object here. In order to accomplish that, if I select this and then go to Window Text Wrap, some of you, depending on how you have your InDesign window set up, this feature may be available in this top menu, but I just want to make sure everybody can find it easily. So like I said, it's under Window, scroll down, it's Text Wrap. That will pull up this little dialog box, and with that selected, if you click on the second option where it says to wrap object or wrap around the bounding box, I click on that and you can see it's now perfectly wrapping my type around that shape. You can then go here and actually customize the cushion that exists around that. I've sized mine to where I'm actually pretty happy with the cushion at the top and the bottom because I pulled my the bounding box of this object perfectly aligned to my baseline grid. So really, I'm only going to worry about the right edge cushion. You may need to unlock this this link. This link will change all of the measurements simultaneously around all sides of the box, which in this case I don't want. So I'm going to unlink it, and I'm only going to worry about the right edge. And I want this, for my case, to be 1 pica. And so that creates a perfect 1 pica cushion here on this right side. And yep, if I turn off my baseline grid, you can see that that looks nice and clean and evenly spaced all around those edges. And then, as I said, my baselines here are all lining up just perfectly. So that's how it's done.